footytips.com.au TV.
G'day and welcome to footytips.com.au TV. My name's Francis Leach and good evening to Beverly O'Connor. How are you?
How are you? In the Essendon colours, I noticed. You're not abandoning the Saints, are you?
Never. Not to there anyway. How'd you go last week with your tips?
Oh, I just snuck in 6 there, but you did pretty well, didn't you?
Got the 7. The Magpies let me down on the Saturday night, let me down big time. But let's see if we can go one better this week and pick all late. Let's start. Friday night's big game is the Western Bulldogs and the Saints at the Telstra Dome. The Dogs returning to the scene of last weekend's disaster against the West Coast Eagles.
What a demolition. And I know Rodney Eade is trying to gee up his troops and says they've bounced back really well. But unfortunately, I think they've lost their way. They've got a lot of injuries, we know that. And your boys just running into some terrific form. And I think rather quietly just building up a lot of momentum. So I think the Saints.
The Saints for me as well. Cozzy returns and that's going to make it even harder for the Western Bulldogs, who looked undermanned. Physically, they couldn't match up to the West Coast Eagles, and the Saints also present that tall, big-bodied option, which is going to make it tough for them. Big game on Saturday at the MCG. Carlton and Collingwood, both teams at different ends of the table. The Pies will want to try and erase the memory of their own disaster last Saturday at the MCG against Brisbane. Can they do it?
Well, look, I thought Carlton showed a hell of a lot of form last week, and of course, Cooter's retired this week. Could it be that sort of emotional thing that they want to do it? I think Ratton has obviously made some changes and wants them to show some fighting spirit. Again, I think they're undermanned, and I think Mick will probably knock the Pies into shape this week.
There's some harsh words, no doubt, spoken at the Lexus Centre. Pendlebury's a big loss with an ankle injury. They're just seeming to struggle a little bit. A lot of young players at Collingwood, but I think they'll have enough in the tank to be able to beat the Blues in what will be, let's hope for this great old rivalry, a bit of a classic at the MCG. Geelong and Richmond. Record score.
Yeah, Geelong will keep on going on. I mean, Gary Ablett, sensational. Ling.
Cameron Ling will be in trouble because he won't have anyone to tag. Who do I go to? Is that a bit harsh, Tiger fans? I'm sorry, I have to speak the truth. They're struggling.
They are struggling.
I think we agree.
And I love the way they're just getting away with it. No one seems to be putting the spotlight on them with 4 teams without a coach, but Geelong in a canter.
The really intriguing game is at the Gabba on Saturday night. It is the Brisbane Lions, who have had 2 consecutive 100-point wins or thereabouts against the Kangaroos, who are second on the ladder and seemingly invincible after a win at Aurora Stadium in Tasmania last weekend. Now, how do we separate these two teams in great form?
Well, I couldn't have picked the Kangas would have gone so well last week, but I think Jonathan Brown is running to some great form. Simon Black, sensational. It's on their home turf. Only factor is, they really got up for the Pies last week. They wanted to make a statement. Will it be a bit of a letdown? But I think the Kangas run might come to an end. Okay,
I'm going to punt on Brisbane only for the sake that a team that wins by 15 goals in 2 consecutive weeks obviously believes it's in good nick. And it should be a belter. The Roos, I hope for their sake, defy my prediction of them losing again. I'm showing them no respect, I apologise, but just on this occasion.
Yeah.
Now let's look to the Port Adelaide game, showdown in South Australia. Adelaide crippled with injuries. Word was today that Mark Rasciuto has got another ankle problem, is definitely going to miss this game. They just have no soldiers left.
They have no soldiers left. They also just seem to be out of a bit of spirit as well. Port Adelaide, quite achievers at the moment. I mean, the Corns brothers are just extraordinary.
And David Roden, who they got with the very last draft pick this year at 86, a former Tiger, dropped off the Richmond list after a serious knee injury. He's been the find of the season. He's been the recruit of the year. He has come to Port Adelaide and been a superstar. And
Burgoyne as well. Some of the goals that they stole last week were just fabulous. So I think Port Adelaide easily.
Melbourne and Sydney, Manuka Oval.
This is a home game for the D's. It's an interesting one for us. Sydney looking in great form as well. So I'm afraid, I think too, we've got a lot of players out, a lot of injuries still. So I can't find any reason why Sydney would be knocked off.
No, it would be a very big upset indeed. Hawthorn and Essendon. Now this will be interesting because we know Sheeds in the 80s had a very, very intense rivalry with the Hawks. These two teams have a history together.
The big line in the sand?
It was the recent one, yeah, the redux of all that, the Dermy redux.
Yeah.
This could be a ripper.
It could be a ripper, and I think there's a lot of emotion still going with Sheeds, and obviously a lot of people down at Essendon not happy with his departure. Hawks just not showing signs of being able to bounce back. I reckon this is a line ball. I just toss it up.
If Franklin and Mitchell play, so hold off on your tip till the very end, then you might give the Hawks the edge. If they're not returning this week, then they could be in a bit of trouble because the Bombers have that strange ability to get up for Sheeds week in, week out, particularly at the moment in this bizarre situation where he's no longer the coach, but yet he is.
Yeah, so with the rider of Buddy Franklin, probably.
The Hawks, for me, I trust them to bounce back in this one. It should be a great game. And the final game of the round is West Coast and Fremantle. This was shaping up a couple of weeks ago as a really important game. The Dockers dropped their bundle last week against the Cats.
Yeah, and look, too many injuries too for the Dockers, and I think Freo, I just think the West Coast are riding high. Cousins, just what can you say? It's just he's a freak.
No more need be said.
West Coast in a canter.
Yes, let's hope the Dockers can pull a surprise in the Derby, as you like to call it.
Rather than the Derby.
The Derby. Derby. Potato.
Put your hat on and we'll say goodbye.
Good luck with your tips this week. Let's hope you get all 8 in your tipping competition. I know it's coming down to the wire in a lot of competitions, and I hope we've been able to help you. And we'll be back again with round 19 on footytips.com.au TV. See you then, Bev.
See ya.
Footytips.com.au TV.